What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have Megan's car in the garage today, and we are going to be doing an oil change on the car and also fixing an oil leak. And I suspect the oil that we're seeing leaking on the backside of the engine is coming from the oil pan seal itself, or where the pan meets the bottom half of the engine. So I bought a replacement, and online, everywhere you look, everyone says, you use the RTV around the pan, and that's how Volkswagen kind of wants it done, and that's how it is to OEM spec. This video is not going to be to OEM spec, so if you're looking for that, this video is not for you. However, I did a little bit more research, and they actually make gaskets for this specific application. So there's a gasket I found that should fit the new oil pan. And if you guys want that information, I'll put it down in the video description for you. That way, hopefully, it's a little easier for you to find if you're trying to do the same job. So we got a new oil pan, we got new oil. We're using Castrol Edge, the 5W40 stuff. I only have 6 quarts here, so I actually have to pick up 1 more quart because the oil capacity on the Jetta, the 2.5 liter, is 6.3 quarts, which I thought it was six quarts, but oh well, whatever. But anyways, the gasket kit that I bought actually comes with some RTV. So my plan here is I'm gonna use a little RTV on both sides of that gasket while we made it up to the bottom of the engine, and then secure it back with the bolts that were on the car before, and hopefully that seals it. But first, let's jack up the car. I'll show you where the oil is coming from. This might not be the only spot where we have oil coming from in this car. The car behind me has 215,000 miles on it, so quite a lot, but so far everything that I've had to do on this car I've been able to do myself, so it saved me a little bit of money there, and we'll take a look, and hopefully this fixes the problem, at least for a little while. So let's go. Alright guys, we are under the car. And there's quite a bit of oil leaking here. I'm gonna try to get you a better shot here so you guys I'm gonna try to get you a better shot, so if I can get that, I'll overlay that now. But yeah, definitely quite a bit of oil leaking, and I'm not 100% sure it's coming just from that oil pan gasket. It looks like there's some more, I guess, kind of up higher. I hope it's not anything more serious here. But I do think that there's no belly pan on this car. I took it off a while back because it was cracked up and just never replaced it. So the wind as you're driving, I'm sure as this is leaking, kind of gets sucked up and blows the oil back over the backside of the engine here. So I figured we'll start with this, we'll do the oil pan, and hopefully that fixes it. Now if it doesn't, then we know that alright, we can track it down in other areas here, but the car, like I said, has a lot of miles on it, 215,000, so there's probably other oil leaks here, and I'm not looking to make it stop completely. I'm looking to make it the best it can be, I guess. So first things first, we gotta drain the oil, so I'm gonna drain that out now, and then we can start buzzing out these little, probably by hand actually, these little bolts here that are holding on the oil pan to the engine. And then we start the fun part of scraping off all that RTV silicone stuff to get a clean mounting surface, so that's probably gonna take some time. But yeah, also, nice little thing to have is one of these creepers. Look at that, I can just rest my head, because your neck gets kind of worn out if you do this too long. Okay, anyways, let's get started. Alright guys, all the bolts are out of the pan here. So the only thing holding this on is the silicone. So we got to take that off next. Try to pry this pan away from the bottom part of the engine. Hopefully that is not too difficult here, but we got a couple tools, a couple little scrapers, screwdriver, kind of things like that to get in there and try not to mar up the surface of where the bottom of the engine here meets the pan. We want that still in good condition for when we obviously put the new seal on and everything. Make sure we don't damage anything. So I'm gonna try to work on that here real quick, and hopefully we can get this off and it's not too big of a pain in the ass. Yeah, but we'll see. All right, guys, you might notice a little change in the audio quality here. I'm just recording on the GoPro right now because my other camera is a little bit too big to get under the car and make it usable here. But I just got the oil pan off the car and I've started going around and cleaning up the edge here. So we have to remove all of that like RTV residue that's on the bottom of the engine here. So I'm going around, I'm using a little like brass brush here. You don't want to scrape up that surface too much. The brass is nice and soft. And then I also have a plastic scraper that I'm using as well. So really whatever you can, whatever you have that's not too harsh, you could use a razor blade as long as you're careful and you don't keep digging into the aluminum, because this is just, aluminum here, so it's pretty soft metal. So under the car, the oil is still draining just a little bit, but I think I'm gonna ready the pan kind of while we're waiting. So really what I'm gonna do here is I'm just going to use a little rubbing alcohol. First off, I'm just gonna clean out some of the dust it looks like that's in here from shipping. And then we're gonna use a little rubbing alcohol, go around where there's gotta be a good seal for that RTV to stick. And then after that, we will put a little RTV on the other side of the gasket. But that's looking actually all right. And then we have the gasket. The gasket's going on in just a second here. But first, let's put on some of this RTV silicone stuff. This is actually included with the gasket when I bought it, so that was pretty cool. All right, so a quick note here too. I think what we're gonna do, we'll apply the silicone to this side, we'll put the gasket on here, and then I'm gonna place some more silicone on the top half of that gasket so it mates up against the engine and it creates a good seal that way. I'm looking at the little instructions here. It says cure time is 24 hours. So I think what we'll do is put it all together here, bolt it up lightly, let everything set, and then re-torque everything down. And then I'm gonna wait that 24 hours before I add oil into the system, just to hopefully give this the best chance possible of working. So with that being said, let's put some of this on here and get going. Now we just have to lay this on here, line up the holes the best we can, get that sitting flush. Hopefully it all lines up. Whew. All right, guys, I think that's gonna be pretty good. I think it's ready to install, and it's getting kind of hard already, so let's get under the car and install it. So let's try to get this lined up, man. This is gonna be fun. We're gonna have to line this up. While we do that, we're gonna have to put in a couple bolts, so. Honestly, this really wasn't too bad. I just threaded in each bolt by hand so the pan wouldn't fall down on my face. And then I did snug it up with the gun, but I did apply the final torque, which is 7 foot-pounds, with my torque wrench. And then we just added the oil, and I waited a couple days to see if we fixed the leak. All right, guys, it's been a few days now, so let's go take a look at the oil pan, and we'll see if our little repair held up. Crossing my fingers, we're good to go. Well, guys, we almost fixed it. I don't think that leak is coming from the pan itself. I think it's coming from up higher. And when I circle around this way, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I think that's where it's coming from on this side here. So that's gonna be a project for another day.